Hello everyone. Good afternoon. That is if you're from down here. You're welcome. Glad to have you again. Today I want to talk about something that is less a problem theologically. No, less a problem because it's not a doctrinal issue, but it's something that I've seen quite often, frequent that I feel like I need to talk about it. The issue of who the greatest apostle was. If you ask 70% of seminarians who was the greatest apostle, I'm sure we hear the name Apostle Paul. Yeah, there's no doubt about maybe that claim, for there are many literary, academic sources to cite, to quote. There are wealth of evidence of his ministerial activities, and enough to give him that accolade as one that really worked hard. I was, let's just say, I was engaged in a conversation with someone who was telling me Apostle Paul walked the greatest of all the apostles. He was trying to make that stance. All right, so do I have something against it as a person? Well, no. But so then, why am I talking about it? I'm talking about it because while it may be true, mark my words, may be true, I don't think it is right for you to assert. I think that assertion is really very bold, and as a Christian, it's more than bold because I think it's really wrong. This is what I mean. I'll give you some instances in the Bible, but before we delve into that, I think this is a human problem. This is an issue with men, human beings. We always like hierarchy, or yes, always vying for positions. You can see when Christ was on earth doing his ministry, his disciples once came to him. No, they were having dispute amongst themselves who was going to be the greatest. And we can also see the issue of Salome, Salome bringing asking Christ if her two sons can sit on his other side. So we always after this position, who is greater than who, but that is why I'm making this video. I think as a Christian, it's not right to make such assertions, especially when it has to do with the ministry of God. Why? Because it is wrong on two occasions, on many occasions. On these occasions, I'm trying to present. First, God does not want you to think in that way because you are not the one rewarding. God is the rewarder. And the last time I checked, I'm not sure God has ever revealed to anyone who he thinks is the greatest apostle if he's ever going to make that an issue. So if God is not saying it, why should you be saying it? You can say, Mr. Ward, I'm being a little bit unbelievable, maybe dramatic about this, but let's look at it. These apostles all worked for God. So I think there are chances, there could be, okay, let's be logical here. There could be chances Paul was not the greatest apostle. Now, if he was not, and you're saying he is just because of you have some evidences to back up your claim, because there are some written documents available. How about those people? Let's say people like Thomas, people like Bartholomew, and others, that there were little evidence of their little written accounts of their ministerial activities. Now, these are my cases. Paul himself wouldn't want to think that way, because he was saying there was a time when people in Paul's days were being segregated amongst themselves. Some say, I'm for Paul, others, I'm for Apollos. And Paul was asking them, what is this nonsense? Did Paul die for you? Did Apollos die for you? Even if one planted, the other one watered. It is all the work of God. So as a Christian, to think that way, this one is the greater of the two, or I think it's really wrong, because that is not supposed to be the concept of the ministry. The ministry is unto God. We all are servants. Servants in the sense of we all are ministers. I don't mean servants in terms of slaves, because God does not have slaves in his household. He only have ministers, stewards, people that are committed with responsibilities. So we all are working, and God is the rewarder. Now, there is a place Jesus Christ says something in Matthew. He said there was a man that hired laborers into his vineyard, into his field, at different hours. The first people he hired, he agreed with them a certain amount to be paid, and he went at succession of many of like three hours, and we hired people to add to those people that were already working. So when it was time to pay them off, he paid them the same amount. So even when people saw this and they begin to murmur, and it was like, wow, I did what was right with what is mine. So is your eye evil? Like, you can see the account. So looking at these cases, I'm sure that God does not want you to make a case for one or against any. So as a Christian, why the thing is, I just think it's something to stay away from, actually. Don't be inside an argument or a talk, or don't facilitate one, or even assume that this one was the greater. Even though I don't think that's how God. I don't think that's the approach God wants you to go about His ministry.